What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, kind of thought I'd come out here. You know, wintertime, it's kind of live scope season, to be honest. And like that's when a lot of those fish, like they scoot out from, you know, a lot of their fall, like pattern stuff up shallower. And then they move out deep. They'll get in the middle of these like creek channels, pockets, drains, all them. Sorry. All them types of things, and they kind of just chase bait and just hunt. And like I know some people like they kind of think of like this fish are just floating out there, and like the water temps in the 40s, they're not gonna be doing a whole lot. But that's pretty far from the truth, because like especially from what I've seen, like fishing personally, like when you're up there like on that Garmin up there, these fish are going ham. Like you'll see them, like they'll be blowing like holes in shad balls and everything. It's so freaking cool. But I am just going to go over kind of your staple scoping rods or lineup, I guess you could say. And hopefully this should help you get you started. And hopefully you go out there, you can go and catch you a couple of bass this winter. Even without live scope, I've got, you know, 1 or 2, 3 lures that you can use without it too. I mean, and you can also do all of the stuff with 2D sonar as well. I like using live scope a lot personally, but to start it off, you guys know me, love throwing a jig, and sometimes there's nothing better than just a good old-fashioned jig out there, especially if you found like some fish that are in some brush piles that are, you know, in some brush piles. Some bluff walls can be pretty good this time of year. Just anything really out deep, you know. You can also, you know, drag it around on a point if you wanted to. You can kind of do a lot of stuff. I still like a 3/4, even though, like, you know, you hear a lot of finesse-y type stuff in the wintertime, but you guys have got to feel your jig. I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest things about throwing is being able to feel it. And also, you know, it'll just get down there to the fish quicker. And I still, like I said, with same colors all year pretty much on my jigs. This one's a green pumpkin, kind of like it's got a little purple strand in it. It's kind of watermelon candy-ish color, if you will. And then that one, honestly, you don't have to use live scope, but I mean it helps obviously, like, especially if you're throwing on brush piles and all that. And secondly, this is another one, you know, a lot of people use it with live scope, but you don't necessarily have to. If I get it out, and that is the old A-rig. And you know, you don't have to use this. Like I know a lot of the time, like back in the day, they would throw these around like cedar trees. They're like them pine trees and all that. Just so these, you know, you see all these hooks. We're allowed to have 3 hooks here in Missouri. These things won't get hung up. And, you know, also really good for brush piles this time of year. You know, you can throw it above some shad balls and all that if you want to. And one thing, especially if you're throwing it around cedar trees and all that, where you're probably going to get hung up, braid's pretty good. This is 20-pound mono, pretty sure on here. And you want to use some pretty light wire hooks, especially if you're throwing it around those like timber and all that, just because like, so you can kind of bend that hook to get it right back out, and then you just bring it back to the boat and straighten it again, obviously. But yeah, and also another thing that you want to have is you want to have some sort, like, something's got to be different than it was. So I have this big old grub, and like you can see, I've got normal swim baits on the rest of them. Then I've just got this gigantic, just odd looking thing, and it's really just gonna like make those fish kind of, they're just gonna hone in on it because I think it's gonna be like sick or something, or something's gonna be wrong with it. Oh, that's gonna be easy. But yeah, I mean, Next up, this is another one, you know, you don't have to have live scope to use it, but it helps obviously. This is just overall really, really good winter bait. And that is none other than the old jerk bait. And this one right here, it's the Omega Bass Vision 110 plus 2. And you know, if you're fishing a little shallower areas, or if you're not using live scope, you're throwing it up against the bank, you probably don't want a plus 2. But like, I'm fishing, you know, Highland reservoirs, obviously, like Table Rock, Bull Shoals. Like, it looks like kinda. But if I'm up shallow, I'm gonna be using the normal Vision 110, or maybe even a Vision 110 plus 1. But this is just for also the suspended fish on live scope. But these fish are normally gonna be a lot higher in the water column, because what I'm about to show you next, which I'll explain to you guys, it can kind of be hard to throw it all the way up, you know, 3 to 6, 7, 8 feet deep. It can kind of be tough, but this jerk bait, and it's so good, because a lot of times what you want to do in the winter is kind of wanting to keep it away from it, like cat and mouse. And like, you want them to chase it. I feel like you have to chase it, really. And jerk bait's really good at that, because you can switch paws, and it's just gonna sit there. Like, you can stop it. Like, it looks so natural, like, to a bass. And I feel like that's what makes a jerk bait so, like, I guess you could say efficient, or effective, really. And then next we have got this is, I know a lot of people used to use them back in the day. They're still used a decent bit, especially from where I'm at. A lot of these deep water areas. And that is just a good old-fashioned ice bait. You know, sometimes those fish will be like tearing up some shad, but they're tearing up shad in freaking 60, 70, 80 feet of water. And so, like, you've got to have something to get down there quickly to those bass. And one of the things, because this thing's pretty much an ounce, and so you can just drop it down there, and it's going to get to them so quick. And also, it's got a really good, like, erratic action to it once you really start, like, you know, like, popping it up and down. But you can also, say the fish are a little finicky that day or something, you can also just sit there and just shake it a little bit. And it's just going to be sitting there. But, you know, if we're really popping, it's going to darting around, because they've got these little wings on the back. And that really helps them, like, dart around and really just look like a dying shad, in my opinion. And that's another bait, you know, I know a lot of people used to use them with 2D sonar. Live scope, it's really good with it. Really good for the super deep fish that it would be hard to get your normal, like, wintertime live scope and baits down there. And all right, now we're gonna talk about some of your more traditional live scope baits, especially over the last couple of years. What's really been dominating the fishing scene is, like, you hear a lot of different names, like Demiki rig, mid-strolling. I think it's pretty simple. I just kind of call it whatever comes to me at that time, but it's really just like, normally a tungsten, you don't have to. Tungsten jig head with just like a shad type profile bait. Right here you can see I have a 1/2 ounce tungsten head. Tungsten's really good. It pops more, honestly, on that live scope sonar than your traditional lead. And I like a lot of, like, the green back colors and all that type of stuff. But colors like your electric shads, you know, pearl, I don't really throw it, to be honest. Like, I know some people that do kind of believe in it. In my opinion, it just doesn't look all that supernatural. And So I like a lot of, because you see a lot of shad, and the color changes, obviously, like the deeper you go. But I just like, this color I think is called it's called Arkansas Shiner. And something else, you guys might be able to see that. I tied a loop knot right there. And what that really does is like, well, that bait's known, especially these ones with these flat sides, is as you're sitting there just shaking it and all that, gosh dang, that thing's going to be like sitting here just bebopping around, rolling around. And that loop knot gives that bait more freedom, honestly, to like just roll around, really just make those bass go crazy. So that's what I'll be throwing for a lot of my fish, say 20 feet and deeper. Yeah, really 20 feet or deeper, you know. I don't prefer throwing at 15 or that much because you're really sitting out there just shaking and shaking. And sometimes the fish want it like that, but sometimes they want it kind of slowly just twitched over their head, if you will. And last but not least, it's going to be the same bait, really, honestly. But I'm going to have it on a 1/4 ounce tungsten head. Because, you know, some of those fish, they'll be sitting in, like, really, just what I explained with the half ounce, like 20 feet or less, this is what I'm going to be putting in my hands. Just because, and also, like the heavier jig head you go, the less rolling action you're going to get out of your bait. And so, this is just another 1/4 ounce tungsten head. Minnow style bait, you know, it's another greenback. I think this one's called like Tennessee shad. It's got a little sparkle on the bottom, or flake, I guess, I don't know. Glitter, we'll say. And I'll kind of explain to you guys the setups that I have all these rods on here in a second. But I guess I'll just start off with this one. And then one thing I already told you guys with the jerk bait, but as you're sitting there, you're fishing for those fish, you're wanting to shake it and kind of maybe less reel and more shake, kind of sometimes. Sometimes you want more reel, less shake. You just kind of figure out as the day goes on. But this rod is a Halo HFX series, you guys know. Medium light with a, moderate fast tip. I mean, really, it's not really like a moderate fast tip. To me, it's more like a fast or an extra fast. And, like, this guy, like this medium light, it allows you to have quite a bit more, like, finesse-y presentation. I'm so sorry about this cough. And then the reel is a Shimano Stratic 2500 with 10 or 12 pound braid. And then it's, 8 pound leader. I either use 8 pound or 6 pound. Just kind of, I don't think it matters a whole lot. But, I mean, kind of personal preference. I run with 8 or 6, just like I kind of trying to be finesse-y. But that's it for this rod, the old 1/4 ounce. And now I'm going to get into the setups of all my other rods. This one again, another Halo HFX series. This one is a 7'4" medium light with the moderate fast tip again. That tip's so sensitive. And this 7'4", like some of these fish you're seeing, they're pretty long ways out there. You're having to cast it quite a ways, and like it really casts these jig heads really well. And also, you know, again, like I said, it allows you to be finesse-y with your presentation, which is kind of a big thing. And this one is on a Daiwa Legalis, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. I think it's called Almighty, Sunline Almighty. It's like braid, but it's got like a little like core, like something inside of it. I'm pretty sure it's fluorocarbon, and it sinks the braid because normally braid floats. And you're having to get this thing down there to them fish quick. Again, I'm pretty sure this one's 6 pound leader. Just allows you to be finesse-y. Get them pressured fish to bite. That's it for my other jig head minnow setup. Now I'm gonna go to the ice bait. This is a Halo HFX 7-foot medium, because you know it can get a little bit harder to cast the pretty much 1 ounce bait on a medium light. So I like to upsize to a medium. But in some else, like I know a lot of people throw the ice baits on a bait caster, but I believe like it's all about getting down them fish fast. And a spinning reel, it's naturally gonna let off more line quicker, if you will. And this is pretty sure 15-pound braid, 12-pound braid, whatever I had at the time whenever I got this reel. And this is a Daiwa Regal 2500, and then this is 10-pound or 8-pound, yeah, 8-pound fluorocarbon. Again, I don't think it really matters too much. But that's it for the ice bait. And now we're gonna be moving on to the jerk bait. Now I don't have like a medium like Halo bait caster yet. I need to save up some money and get me one though. I know that for like jerk baits, crank baits, all that type of stuff. This is a just 7.2 medium, kind of like run of the gun, like jerk bait, crank bait rod. And this is 8-pound monofilament, 10-pound, 8-pound, yeah, 8-pound monofilament. This is on a Quantum Energy S3. I like it. It's got these bearings in it, makes it cast farther and all that stuff. This is I've already told you guys, 110+2, but this color's matte shad. And I like this rod a decent bit. It's pretty good, but I need to get me an old Halo pretty time soon. I'll tell you guys what. Cause you know, throwing a jerk bait, throwing a crank, that could be a little player this year in the old NYFA tournaments. Now for my setup for the A-rig. This is a Halo HFX. Now this also really doubles as my flipping rod, to be honest. It's the 7'6" heavy. You know, it's got y'all know what I'm talking about. It's got that pretty stiff backbone. But you can still really feel those like bites where they just kind of like suck it in or slurp it in, and they don't really bite it super aggressively. This is a Daiwa Tatula CT, and then 20-pound mono. I already told you guys. Now, like this rod, if you guys haven't watched my latest video, which is the Big Bass Bash, we won, or we didn't win, obviously, but we caught our like paycheck fish on this exact rod with this exact reel too, I'm pretty sure. Now it was fluorocarbon instead of mono, but same difference, you know. But so that's it. That rod's really good. And then finally, now we're back to my favorite lure. And that is the old jig right here. You guys, if y'all have watched my previous videos, I've kind of gone in depth about this rod a little more than I am on this video. This is the HFX. I'm so sorry. HFX Lee Livesey 7'3" medium heavy. In my opinion, greatest jig rod I've ever had, no doubt. And this is also the exact same reel that I've done good on. That's the Daiwa Tatula 100 XS. It's really comfortable in your hand. And then I have got 15-pound fluorocarbon. No, this one's 12. 12-pound fluorocarbon. That's what I like a lot. Out deep, throwing a jig. Now, if I'm up a little shallower or something like that, fishing on cover, I'll probably go up to 15. But because there will be a little bit more sediment in the water, cover, it's not going to matter as much. And this is just a hand-tied football jig, 3/4 ounce with a craw trailer. I need to get me some more pocket chunks. I'm bad out of them. I like the pocket chunks really. A lot of my 1/2 ounce jigs, because I like the quite a little pee-wee looking thing, if you will, for that one. And that rod has won us an NYFA tournament, that Lee Livesey rod. And it won our fall shootout. We caught them all on the jig pretty much. So now I'm going to take you guys back. And we're going to look at some areas that you can kind of look at or start on to try and find some of these, offshore wintertime. Okay, guys. Now I'm going to go over just a couple areas you can probably try. We'll bump out of here. And you know what? We'll just head on down here. We'll go to a small little lake. There we go. We'll go to right over here, Norfolk. We'll go to Lake Norfolk right here. And so a lot of these fish are gonna be chasing these bass in these creeks, these bigger creeks, really, these main creeks. And so, you kind of want some deep water, like, maybe something like this. This could be pretty good, you gotta, that's a marina right there, dang. But, let me find some. Trying to find something I really like. Maybe somewhere like, maybe somewhere like in here. You got this this main channel out here, and then it kind of flows into this creek back here. You can check back here, scan all in here. Then you can come in here, scan all up in here. And really what you're looking for is just kind of bait, to be honest. Like, that's really what I'd be looking for. You could maybe try those bridges for a second. Didn't have a whole lot of huge. Maybe somewhere like in here, like out in here, or, out in this area, really. You're pretty close to some spawning areas. Kind of some areas where they can hoard this bait, really. And like they could have been back in here in the fall time chasing them around. And then that's kind of how you can start, really. Looking for these things, just look for some bigger creeks. Them pockets. You might scan like a creek, see how far back or how far in them fish are, but it seems a lot of times to me, once you find the bait, you can find the bass. It's kind of what I go by this time of year. You'll really be going to your, here, let me get to it. You're gonna be using a lot of your, your side scan, and then you'll be using your you'll be using your, or you could be doing something like this. You've got your down, this clear view on, but it'd be your down imaging, and then you've got your 2D. That helps a lot, really. So just kind of, may have to play around with it a little bit, but kind of seems once you find the bait, you find the bass. So that's kind of what I go by this time of year. And so, yeah, that's really what all I'm looking for. All the baits I'm going to be throwing. And then we run all Garmin's. We use the LVS 34. And, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day. Hope you guys can go catch a couple bass on these.